Hello, good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Welcome, whatever time of day it is, wherever in the world you are. Stop what you're doing. I've brought to you another fabulous entrepreneur. This time, we are digging into some Twitter PR expert strategies from the amazing, the one and only Blondepreneur, Miss Carrie Eddins. Carrie, welcome to today's show.
Hi, Sammy. Thank you very much. I'm thrilled to be here.
Well, I'm delighted that you're here. We've tried to get this going a couple of times, so we're finally here. Finally in the hot seat. So, Carrie, let's dig straight in. When you started to get into the world of Twitter and PR, there must have been some big mistakes that you made when you started venturing into that online space. Can you take us behind some of the mistakes that you made that you now teach others not to do?
Yeah, I mean, some of it is following people who are doing it quite formally. So social media has made everything a lot more informal. So it means that it's leveled the playing field across the world for pretty much everything. And so I think initially I was going at things a lot too formally. I was following people who had been doing it for years and years and years, but hadn't updated to the world of social media. Because I think that's critical now. You've got to treat people as, even though some people are still kind of holding on to their titles, you've got to be much more human with the public and obviously with the media as well. So I was kind of not trusting my instincts, I think, initially, and just going, oh, but they've been doing it for this amount of years and they've written that book, or they have, they've got this amount of following. And actually I was right and they was wrong. They were wrong. They were kind of outdated. They needed to update how they were communicating. Right. That was a big mistake.
So do you think on social media, when people are too formal instead of being social on social media, you think those people that are formal, they're not getting as much traction with the action they're taking socially?
I think their companies are folding, actually.
Wow. And what would you say, like, what is the difference? How would somebody know who's listening in right now, how would they know if they're being too formal on social media or whether they're getting that magic right? It's almost like a spell, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, I always say, like, content without connection or any communication without connection is like tea without cake. So if you're just, you're just talking about tea and you're just being quite technical or data driven, or, we've got this amount of following and it's all me, that's an example of, that's just talking about tea. That's just talking about, like, as if people are robots and there's no humanity there. So it's being quite kind of, also it's often being like quite head based. You're being quite linear, that is very outdated and old school now. You need a bit of that, but you've really got to show like your human side now more than ever, because that's what people want.
Well, I mean, that's a question that I have for you. And guys and girls, hello to you joining in live. And for those of you that are listening in to the replay. So when you start using Twitter, I find Twitter is a completely different animal to all of the other social channels. Twitter seems to be more news. There's a lot of people that are sharing news on Twitter, and that seems to be something that a lot of people are following. So if you're not the kind of person that wants to be sharing news, what's the next best thing to be sharing on Twitter? What are the best things that people really are engaged by?
Well, I mean, Twitter, news stories literally break on Twitter. So if anybody wants to do PR, that's kind of where the media hang out 24/7. And that's not just political news. That's it could be sports news, entertainment news, industry-based news. It does all happen on Twitter. Other things happen on Twitter. For example, there's tweet ups that happen all across the world every day of the week, which are organized meetings on Twitter, where my favorite one, and the one I've attended the longest, although probably not recently because I've run out of time on Thursdays, but on Thursday evening, this lady called Madeline Scalar runs a Twitter session called Twitter Smarter, and people get together, and the idea of a tweet up is you get together and there's usually a hashtag theme. So Madeline is hashtag Twitter Smarter. It could be like Success Hour, London Hour, all sorts of things, and Mumpreneur Hour. There's loads, and you get together and you network, but you're learning from each other. So you're not just learning from the person. They have like somebody, for example, like you, and they could talk about branding, and they ask you questions, and then they all, share in and add little tips and ask questions. that's a really good way of somebody getting to know, like, and trust you. So Twitter does that. Twitter is incredible for SEO. People forget it. It's a micro blogging site. So if you're tweeting, you know, it doesn't take long for it to get indexed by Google. So people put your name up, your Twitter feed will come up. And it's quite good for people to get a snapshot of who you are and how up to date you are and what you're talking about. So it's quite good. It is really, really good for that. People use it. They definitely use it for general networking. A lot of people use it for customer service complaints. So if they can't get hold of a company, if they can't get hold of a company, you know, small or large, anywhere else, they go onto Twitter and the situation gets sorted quite soon. So that's quite interesting. People build relationships with different influencers, you know, micro, macro, in their industry very easily, because you can get hold of them on Twitter. You want to, if you want to do that with your industry, you want to sort of build a relationship with somebody, you know, they do respond pretty fast on Twitter typically, and you can, you know, start up some kind of connection with them. So that's the kind of thing.
I mean, it's a place for building fast connection, isn't it? Definitely. And a lot of the influencers tend to manage their own Twitter as well, don't they?
They do. They
want to let go of it to some agency because they can't answer things in the same way that you can.
No, exactly. Because it's so public, then, you know, I mean, I'm not saying Instagram isn't public, obviously, but it moves differently. It's a different rhythm to it. So I would say that more actual people who are influencers and celebrities are on, actually, like you say, running the account. Definitely.
That's amazing. So for those of you that are entering the world of Twitter, if you could just let us know in the comments, obviously if you're listening into the podcast, you could be driving, so definitely don't do that. But for those of you that are watching live right now, put in the comments how you're getting on with your Twitter journey. Are you using Twitter? Have you used it for a long time? Are you finding that you're getting better results with certain types of content than other types of content? Let's hear how you are getting on. Carrie, for those people that are just getting into the world of Twitter, are there any places that they can go for content ideas? Because obviously PR is building a brand. It's about getting other people talking about you and getting you noticed and getting your business noticed. Are there any PR strategies that you would recommend on Twitter that can help to build a new business's profile pretty quick?
Yeah, I mean, how long have you got? I mean, one of the easiest ways is that on the right-hand side, there's the trending. So you could just jump on a trend. So and depending on what you can do on your Twitter profile, you can set the trends to wherever you are in the world. So, you know, it could be like, you know, like it could be like UK, then you can nail down to London, you can go down to Shoreditch, you know, Los Angeles, California, you can put it down to San Francisco. So you can literally see what is trending in your locality. Your customers, you know, those of your viewers watching or listeners, they could actually go down to where because it might not be your locality where your ideal clients hang out. It could be wherever in the world. So I would set the location of the trends to where it is that people are that you want to target. And then you can just see the trend that's coming up. And then the easiest thing is to just join in the conversation. So when there was a trend, let's just say, I don't know, talking about, I don't know, like the Premier League, because I've been talking about this today. So it's talking about Premier League, and you may not be a football fan, but your audience is, because it's not just about what you like, it's what your audience like. So then you put the hashtag Premier League, can't wait till it starts. You could just start a little conversation. Can't wait till it starts in, you know, early August, 4 weeks from now. Because I know people, you know, a lot of people I know love the Premier League, and it's just, it wraps up on Saturday with the FA Cup finals. They could be like, can't wait to, you know, hope Chelsea win. And they could just have this little conversation using that hashtag. And that hashtag is trending right now. So they will likely get engagement, have like social chatting with other people. They could even build relationships, and that it just starts with a tweet, you know. So I would say jump on trends is probably one of the easiest things to do right now to if they were starting out in the world of Twitter. I mean, I do that with my clients to get them to kind of comment. And what you can also do is if you start to look at the trends, so for example, even sometimes with like TV shows they're on, this is another easy way to get on it, is that, you know, those of you who watch TV or following things like that. You know, your favorite TV show, people are literally tweeting while they're watching it. And just, you know, just tweet, just start a little Twitter chat, you know, start talking about it, you know, oh, I love it how Dave's got together with Edna finally, or whatever it is. You just have a chat, and, you know, amazing relationships can come from that, because you're speaking about, especially you're speaking about something that's not business related. Sometimes it could be business related as well. That's still good, but they're getting to know you as a person, which is what I sort of started off with. So they're getting to know who you are as a person, and, you know, people respond to that. I mean, they really do. I mean, the amount of conversations I've had and who've become clients, we've just started talking about our morning cup of tea, and boom, you know, and we've got to know each other over the, you know, the next few weeks.
So what we're talking about here is really using social profiles to be social. So instead of being so formal and trying to post things at certain times and setting stuff up in Hootsuite or whatever you use, and you know, having things go, it's better to have conversation than it is to just be kind of puking your content on everybody.
I always say this to people, and some of my favorite Twitter people, they've actually started to, like, one of my friends, she's American, but she's now moved to Spain, but she said she's now, and she's, you know, she's much, she's got a bigger following than me and does Twitter a lot more than me. And she's actually said that she only schedules 5 tweets a week now, and everything else is live, and her engagement and her response has gone through the roof. And she said it's really noticeable. Yeah, it's really noticeable. And I've noticed that as well, because I think that people, even a few years ago, were just, even, you know, at the start of the year, were really obsessed with metrics. And I'm really like, less is more. I'm just kind of like, just make sure your tweets are, you know, they mean something, and, or even, you know, they mean something to you, you know, whether they're playful or not, or business related or not, but just show up live, even if it's like 10 minutes a day, and you will have more impact. And I've definitely noticed that, because less is more. You don't need to kind of endlessly churn out content.
Believe that too.
You know, I really think it's a shift now.
Keep the conversation going on one post rather than trying to create lots of different content. It just keeps your brand constantly in the eyes of the people that you're wanting to see. Now, the great thing about Twitter is that there are, as you say, lots of journalists. There are TV producers. There are radio shows. There's people that are looking for your content. There are a couple of hashtags that I certainly keep an eye on, things like hashtag journo request. Obviously, there are people on there that are looking for you. Yes, you watching or listening to this show right now. You've got expertise that these journalists are looking for, and you can very quickly, just by typing in a hashtag, you can find exactly which keyword you're looking for. So, Carrie, if somebody was looking to be picked up by a journalist or to be interviewed on podcasts or virtual summits, is Twitter a good place to be finding those interviewees, those people that are looking for content?
Yeah, completely. Because it's so instant, isn't it? And it's, like I said, it's bang up to date. So yeah, I mean, like you said, like the media and people who are looking for interviewees are always looking for fresh content, and it's just about thinking about what hashtag represents what you're looking for at the end of the day, you know. So, you know, as a simple example, you know, if it's GDPR, you just put in GDPR. Instead of go to top, you click on latest, and you can scroll through, because the person who's got the top on a Twitter feed isn't always the one you're after. It could be just it could be the latest. And then you can scroll down. You could do the same with journal request. It could be the top, but it's not always. I've found that it's usually you have to scroll down a bit, and you know, it's like with Google alerts, isn't it? I'm going on to Google, isn't it? If you put new in or look at the Google alerts, it's not always the first person who comes up is the one you want. It's usually a bit further down, and I find that with Twitter a lot, you know.
Very interesting.
You can see that, and then you can click on their tweets, because even if you find them and you go, okay, but then if you click on one of their tweets and you can look at what kind of conversations they're having, because that's something else as an indication of who they are as a person. It's not just the one-off tweet or the one-off bit of content. You want to look at the bigger picture. So if you click on the tweet, then you can see who they are in everyday tweeting, or, you know, and that I find that when I do that, then I really get to know them a bit better. But it does take a bit of effort, you know, like with anything worth doing.
Yeah, but you're picking all of your clients up through Twitter by the sounds of it.
I pick them up through Twitter and Facebook mostly, yeah. A few on LinkedIn, but it's, yeah. definitely.
How much time do you think needs to go into a Twitter PR type strategy then? Because it sounds like it's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is a lot of work. I would say initially quite a lot. Initially when I started to really do a lot on Twitter, I was a couple of years ago, I was probably spending 16 hours a day on it, really.
Wow.
Getting to know it. Yeah, well, because I was really, it was a lot. I wouldn't say you need that much, but I was trying to master certain things.
Right.
And so
you're doing it as a business as well.
And I'm doing it as a business, and I just like, look, you can sort of see when different things happen and how like a news story breaks and how it rolls around the different forms of media, how it starts with radio, it might say TV, radio, online, offline, magazine, print, all those kind of things, podcasts, or does it start the podcast? You can see the rhythm of it. When you know the rhythm, you can see like that when it's flashed up as a journal request, you can see if that's a breaking news story or if that's just something they're just experimenting with, which is what they do sometimes, or if it's like, well, they're just desperate for something, they're just putting it out there. So I've got a sense of it now, but people don't normally need to do that. I would say if you were wanting to do it yourself, I would say pick a morning, pick a morning or an evening really, and look, because stories typically, we are in extraordinary times, but in more normal times, that things happen in the morning and then like later on. So news story headlines are released at quarter to 11 at night or in first thing in the morning. So I would get people to look at that, because that's just a good indicator of how things pan out. But if I said I would say just look on Twitter between 7 and 9 in the morning. It doesn't need to be 2 hours. Have a look at that. Or if you're more of an evening person, look at it between 7. I'll probably say 8 and 9 or 9 and 10. Have a look at what's happening. Look what's trending, and see where you can sort of add weight to the conversation. Right. And start to tweet. I would just look at that really, because then you're going to get a flavour of it. You don't need to do it every day. Just pick one day a week. I'm gonna tweet, and I'm gonna do that, and then I would say like 10 or 15.
That's quite a good strategy, isn't it? Because if you're talking about what did you call it? A tweet chat or something like that?
A tweet up, yeah. A tweet
up, that's it. I knew it was something catchy. So a tweet up. So you could do, instead of trying to master Twitter and spend loads of time on Twitter every day, you could just literally set like an hour once a week where you have a tweet up, and it just is about the conversation that you're the expert in.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
It sounds like a great idea.
Yeah. I'm just about to start one called Blonde About, actually. So, but I think I know quite a few people who've started up their own Twitter chats, and it's really established them as a thought leader, and people find them really easily, because when you do it regularly, then obviously a lot of people come and start to follow you and engage and see what's happening.
Yeah.
Then they use the content. They repurpose their content onto a podcast, onto a blog post. They do a Facebook Live, so it's all kind of in sync. Because is it
something that you do live via video, or is it literally just typing it? Like you're talking to somebody who's, I have no idea where it comes to that strategy, and so if I don't have an idea and I'm in this industry, what would other people? How would they even get started? So could you just talk us through the process of setting up a tweet chat, a tweet up?
Yeah, the best person, Madeline, actually, this lady, Madeline Scalar, she's actually got a course to how to set it up, because it's
okay.
So we can put a link and share it, because it's brilliant. I've got it, so I got it.
Yes, please do.
I wanted to actually learn how to do it before I set mine up. But so you just agree on a theme, a time. You need to have a hashtag. It's all about branding, Sammy. Yeah. And then you all get together at a particular time, and then they say, "Hi, everyone. How are you? Where you're from?" kind of thing. And then it'd be like, today we're going to talk to Sammy about we're blonde about branding, and then you agree to, like, you have like 3 or 4, it's usually 5 questions, and then they're scheduled to go out, and then everybody responds and puts like answer 1, I think this and this, which is what you would say, and then you put the hashtag blonde about, let's just say, in your brand, that's usually the guest hashtag. And then you all have a little chat about it, and then about 5 minutes or 10 minutes later, there's a next question, and there's answer 2, and then you put the hashtag blonde about.
Wow. I find that's such a strange concept, because you can't actually see each other's faces.
No,
you can't. That's just bonkers.
Yeah, no, it is really strange. And so, like, you have all these little chats, and there's like the main chat, and then people just can't often go off and chat with each other. And yeah, it is really strange. I mean, the first time I did it quite a long time ago, I was just a bit like, oh my God, I've just chatted to all these people in America mostly. But like now I know them quite well, and we, you know, it's amazing what happens on the Twitter. You get to know people. Yeah, it's
See, that's incredible. I think, you know, what I'm getting most from this is that we think it's easy for us to think we've got to be on all the social media all of the time, and that therefore people just go, there's no way I can do that, therefore I'm not going to do any of it, and then they don't do anything, they don't even start. But what I'm thinking here is that you could do a YouTube twice a week at a certain time. You could do Twitter once or twice a week at a certain time and do your tweet ups. You could do your Facebook lives once or twice a week. So you could actually be really testing and measuring how your content is landing across all of the profiles without it being like an everyday, all of the profiles type thing, which is exhausting even just thinking about it.
It is exhausting. I think that's a really good idea, definitely, because you don't know until you try and test and measure it, do you? Because it's kind of, a lot of people are just like the blonde leading the blonde and just going, oh, I'm just doing some content every day and I just see what sticks. And you know, you've got to, you're right, you've got to sort of test and measure it. And I think also see what you feel comfortable doing as well, because some people like, oh, and it like Twitter, and they're like, oh, they're all really trolly, and I'm like, I think I've experienced one troll, but I enjoy Twitter. So I think if you enjoy doing a particular medium, that makes a difference as well. So 'cause I think there is definitely obviously a thing about people trolling, but you can actually, there's a mute button on Twitter. There's a block button. Do you know what I mean? It can actually stop these things.
I love a good troll. We don't get many of them, but I love a good troll. We've had a troll today, Darren Peterson, who he's called himself an arse, which is fabulous. I love it. I love a good troll, because the only arsehole that looks like an arsehole is the troll.
No, it's true.
Doesn't make anyone else look like one, so bring it on. I love it. So Carrie, like in the last few minutes that we've got to wrap up, this is a short and sweet show today, because we've got the Thinkubator that we're running at 5:30, so we've got 5 minutes left for me to jump across to there. Like, how did you even get into this? If you could tell everybody anything about your business so that we could go and check you out, what would you want us to know about you?
Well, I do things quite differently. So, you know, a lot of what I do now has come out of a lot of blonde business moments, I call them. So I was like the blonde leading the blonde, doing different bits of content marketing, probably a bit when I was doing content marketing. A lot of people were doing it much more data focused, and I was just like, it's all about emotional connection. And now people have kind of caught up. And in the meantime, I suppose I've honed my Twitter skills and realized that I'm quite good at creating emotional connections. I've like my connection recipe. I suppose I do things differently. I'm very heart driven, heart based. And yeah, I use a lot of soft skills. So it's not hard hitting. It's very heart based. It's very, you know, using empathy and compassion and playfulness. I use a lot of playfulness because I use a lot of GIFs on Twitter and things like that, and I put knickers on my head and stuff like that. So but that's part of my branding. You know, I'm the Blondepreneur.
What is the knickers thing? Because, like, for those of you that are listening to this, Carrie is sat here wearing a pair of knickers on her head right now, and they're a gorgeous colour pair of pants, really. What the hell is that about?
It came about because I was a bit, because I needed my roots doing. I still need my roots doing. There's still a cute hair. So I was doing it. I was doing
basically Corona is pants.
The Corona is pants. I was due to be interviewed by the lovely Sharon Gaskin, as we both know and love.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't go on her thing because my hair looks terrible, because I'm quite vain about my hair. And I was like, I need my roots doing. So I was just like, I'm going to put pants on my head. And it sort of started like that, really. And I was like, oh, I was going to do a turban because Audrey in her community is lovely. And she was like, put a turban on. And I tried to do a turban. It kept falling off. And then I grabbed a pair of pants and thought I'm going to put them on. So, and I was.
Well, this just goes to show literally that, you know, all those people, all of you that feel like you've got to have a good hair day and your makeup's got to be done and everything's got to be perfect. This is the best demonstration of perfection is poverty I've ever seen. And my darling Carrie, we have come to the end of our time together. How can people get hold of you? How can they follow you on Twitter?
So yeah, my handle on Twitter is @Blondepreneur with an E. And they can find me at theblondepreneur.com. And always remember,
when you say blondepreneur with an E, do you mean BLONDE?
Yeah.
Preneur.
Yeah.
Or is there an E on the end of preneur as well?
No. It's just people don't usually put they usually put BLOND and they don't put an E.
Got it. So I've just put it on screen there. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is, yeah.
Okay, so for those of you that are listening in, that is blonde with an E, BLONDE, and then preneur, blondepreneur, all one word. So Carrie, we can go and we can connect with you and you'll connect with other people. So guys and girls, if you go and connect with Carrie, do let her know that you've connected with her through the confession show, so she knows where you've come from and that you're not some random person that's stalking her, because you also love to put knickers on your head. Maybe there's a whole following of people right here that are going to I love it. Carrie, thank you so much for bringing your heart and shining the light on Twitter with us today. I really, really love the work that you do. I love shining a spotlight on your greatness that you're bringing to the world. So thank you for showing up for all of us today and for giving us some great strategies and a good kick up the arse as to what to do on Twitter. Finally, we have a strategy. Yay!
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you so much. Guys and girls, if you want to join me for the Thinkubator this week, we are about to go live in 1 minute. So I'm going to dash across to Zoom. If you are in the Brand Builders Club, you will have the usual Zoom link. Come and join us on there. If you haven't signed up for it yet, you can go to brandbuilders.club/Thinkubator and sign yourself up right now. So the link is on screen for those of you listening. You might be listening to the replay. So we do these every Tuesday. If you go to that link, brandbuilders.club/Thinkubator, you can book yourself on to whatever dates we've got coming up. We run them every week. So take care, have fun, be happy, be that brand you want to see in the world. And I'll see you all on Twitter. Take care. Thanks, Carrie. Bye.
Thank you.